right. I am live. I believe I'm live. I'm hoping I'm live. But I'm not sure, so let's check this out. If you are here, if you are visiting me, you're already online, leave a comment so I know. All right, I do believe I'm live. Hello, hello. Good morning, YFS. So we just have one person here. Do you want to do an English lesson, YFS? Are you ready? There's only one person watching. That's you. We'll have more people coming soon, I'm hoping. All right, let's see how some of these things work. Yoshiko, tell me if you can see this. Can you see that screen? Okay, nice. All right, let's get started while we we'll wait a few more minutes for someone else to join or other people to join. If not, we'll jump right into it and we will learn indirect questions today. Indirect questions. That's what we're going to be studying today. All right, so let's see here while we wait for more people. But you know what? Let's just jump into it. An indirect question. Indirect questions are really, really popular in English, and it's something that you have to learn how to do. They are polite ways to ask questions to people. We use them in business, and we use them when we travel a lot. You know, in English, if you ask someone a direct question, it might be a little bit rude. It might be too direct. So the person who is receiving the question might feel a little bit strange. They might feel that, you know, when you ask a direct question, it's too strong for them. So it's really important that we learn how to make indirect questions. Now, an indirect question is not that difficult to make, but it is a little bit confusing. It is a little bit, you know, different from a direct question. You know, when we have a direct question, and if we look at the screen here, let's look at the be verb first, the one at the very top here. You know, when we look at the be verb, whenever we have a question, the grammar pattern that we are going to use is WH. So that means any WH word. So that could be what, where, when, why, how. I know how is not WH, but it's considered a WH question. So we always start our questions with one of these words. Now, if we're using the be verb, the next word would be one of the be verbs. So it could be am, it could be is, it could be are. If we go past tense, it's was or were. After that, we will have our subject. Following the subject, we have the verb. And in some cases, we'll have an adjective. That is the standard grammar pattern for a direct WH question, right? So we have that right here below. You can see this is your standard WH pattern. Now, this is a direct question. Today, we are not going to study direct questions. We're going to be studying indirect questions. All right, let's try that again. All right, that's what we'll be studying, is indirect. But first, it's important that we understand how to make a direct question. Now, we've gone over the be verb. We know how to make the be verb direct question. Next, if it's a different verb, if we're not using the be verb, then we are going to use this pattern. Again, we start with a WH question word. Next, we'll have do, does, or did. Next, we'll have the subject, and then we have a verb. In most cases, the bottom pattern is what we usually use. It's only when we use the be verb, we use the top pattern. So let's look at a couple of example sentences with direct questions. You know, a very common direct question could be, what is your name? You know, very, very common, very direct question. Now, if we're going to do a do, did, or does question, and if it's direct, I could say, where do you live? Okay, another very common direct question. This is too direct, as I said. So we want to learn, how do we make this more polite? How do we make this where I can use it in business, or I can use it when I talk to strangers while I'm traveling? Well, that's when we use the indirect question format. Now, with any indirect question, we are going to begin our question with one of these phrases. Now, do you know? Do you have any idea? Can you tell me? I was wondering. And would you mind telling me? So there's 5 different phrases that you can use. But I would recommend, for today and for moving on, it's difficult to remember all 5. So I think we can start with 2. So I would recommend that you use do you know and can you tell me? All right, so let's start with those 2 today. Try to remember just those 2. So do you know and can you tell me? Now, this is where, when we make an indirect question, it changes. So the next word is the same. We're going to be using a WH question word. What, where, when, why, who. After the WH, we go to the subject, and after that, we go to a verb. So things are going to be switched a little bit. So with a direct question, we've got, what is your name? What is your name? But if we do an indirect question, and let's use, can you tell me? I would say, can you tell me what your name is? So as you can see, my subject and my verb have switched. So the direct question is, what is your name? The indirect question is, can you tell me what your name is? Can you tell me what your name is? Now, let's look at the second direct question we practiced. Where do you live? Where do you live? If I make an indirect question, my question will be, can you tell me where you live? If you notice, this verb, do, in the indirect question, we have no do verb. So whenever you do an indirect question, the do, does, and did get removed. We no longer use the do, does, or did. All right, so does that make sense so far? So we got YFS. YFS, does that make sense? Do you understand? Oh, YFS might be sleeping still. All right, well, hopefully you do understand. If you don't understand, you can always leave a question in the comment section. In fact, while you're at it, tell me where you're watching from in the comment section. Now, as I said, today we are going to be using do you know and can you tell me? Do you know and can you tell me? So what's the difference? What's the difference between these two phrases? When do I use do you know? When do I use can you tell me? So they are different. You have to understand they are different. So let's look at do you know? Do you know I use this phrase if the person I'm talking to, they might not know the answer. They might not know. For example, if I'm walking on the street and I need to go to the train station. I don't know this area. I'm lost. I need to go to the train station. I see a stranger. Yeah, maybe they know where the train station is. Maybe they don't. I'm not sure. So in that situation, I will say, do you know? Do you know where the train station is? Now, in the opposite case, can you tell me? Can you tell me is when the person I'm speaking to definitely knows the answer. They can definitely answer my question. They have the information. So, same situation. If I am walking on the street, I don't know where the train station is, but I see a police officer. A police officer definitely knows that area. A police officer definitely can answer my question. So in that situation, I would say, can you tell me? Can you tell me where the nearest train station is? All right, so that's how we separate those two. Do you know? The person might not know the answer. And can you tell me? They know the answer. So that's why I recommend these two phrases today. If you have these two phrases, you can speak in any situation. Okay, so yeah, YFS said, yes, she understands. You understand in writing and reading, but when I speak, I get confused. Yes, a lot of people when they see it on paper, they can understand. They can follow along, no problem. But when it comes time to speak, it becomes a little bit more confusing. But that's what we will do today. We are going to be practicing how to speak using indirect questions. So I'll be giving you a lot of exercises today, and it's your job to make indirect questions. So you have two choices. You can type your answers in the comment section and I can check. And I also recommend just speak it out loud as well. Of course, I can't hear you, but speaking will really help you to improve your English. All right, so for anyone who has joined a little bit late, we're going over indirect questions. An indirect question is when we ask a question in a more polite manner. We will be more polite, and we often use it in business and when we're traveling. We're asking these questions to strangers or to important clients. So we're using today, do you know and can you tell me? So let's practice how these questions here. So this first section here, this exercise, and by the way, this is one of my lessons from my school. So if you would like a copy of this exercise, just let me know and I can send you a PDF. But of course, hopefully I'll send it only to subscribers. So make sure you're subscribing to the channel. All right, let's look at number one here. Number one, we're looking at a direct question. The direct question is, where is the station? Where is the station? Now, if we look, our pattern, whenever we're using our subject and verb, where is the station is a direct question. We want to change it to an indirect question. So we need to choose, do you know and can you tell me? So for this one, let's look at, we're going to use do you know? Do you know? And if you noticed, next is my WH word. After that, I'm going to put the subject. Subject is the station. And finally, we finish with the verb is. Do you know where the station is? This is a much more polite way to ask that question. Okay, so before we go to number two, we've got some more people joining. Let me know where you're watching from and let me know if you have any questions. Number two, the direct question is, what time does the bank open? What time does the bank open? Let's begin this indirect question. Let's change it to an indirect question. And we're going to start with, do you know? Do you know? Does anybody want to try that who's watching? How do we make this into an indirect question? What is the rest of that question? Don't be shy. Let's see if anyone can answer the question correctly here. Okay. Everyone seems a little bit shy here. And now, I'm going to help you out here. This will be the pattern that you should use in this situation. So we've got do you know? Next, we have to add the WH word. WH word. The WH word here is going to be what time. So do you know what time? Next, we need the subject. in that question, the subject is the bank, the bank. So do you know what time? And let's add the subject, the bank. And next we need to add our verb. We need to add a verb. This one here is going to be a little bit tricky because our verb is going to be opens. Do you know what time the bank opens? So why did I add an S in this situation? Why did I add that S? So in the direct question, if you notice, I'm using does. I'm using this word does. In an indirect question, we remove the does. We get rid of it. But this S we need to put it onto the main verb open. So the S goes to the verb open. So that's why we have open. So whenever you use does in a direct question, make sure you put this S onto the verb. All right, so number 3, same situation. How much does this sweater cost? All right, we're going to use the same pattern. Do you know? All right, Hiroshi, very good. Don't forget the S. Don't forget the S. Midori, also don't forget the S. All right, who can answer the next question? How much does this sweater cost? And let's use do you know again. And this one as well. Everybody, don't forget the word S. All right, I'll give you everybody a little bit more time to put their answers in. Fusa, Ohio. All right, Hiroshi, do you know? Don't forget the question word. The question word, how much? We need to add that how much in there as well. Very, very close, Hiroshi. So, do you know how much? The rest is perfect, Hiroshi. The rest is perfect. Do you know how much this sweater costs? All right, so do you know how much this sweater costs? Somebody keeps calling me. Let me just put my phone onto focus here. So, all right, there we go. Do not disturb. I don't need any phone calls while I'm doing this lesson. Midori, do you know how much this sweater costs? Perfect, Midori. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That is the perfect answer. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. This is going to be the easy part where we're just going to switch from direct to indirect. This is where we warm up. We learn how to make these sentences. After this, it'll become a little bit more difficult. I'll give you situations and you have to make the question. But let's keep practicing. Let's go to number 4. How can I get to the park from here? How can I get to the park from here? Who can make an indirect question here? How can I get to the park from here? And let's make this a little bit more difficult. I want you guys to remember, I'm going to stop sharing that. Let's see if you guys can remember. All right. And I won't be so mean. I'll put it back onto the screen as well for you. Thank you, by the way, everyone who is joining me today. I don't know if I know some of you, by the looks of your names, we're watching from Japan. So it's very early in the morning on Saturday. Thank you for waking up and joining me today. How can I get to the park? Again, let's use the same format. Let's use do you know? That means we're talking to someone who might not know the answer. So, do you know? What is my answer here? And here in this situation, we've got two verbs. We've got two verbs. Kaz, good morning. How are you today? I hope you're having a great Saturday morning. If you are in Japan, which I am, it's super rainy. It's not very nice outside, but I'm hoping you're having a good morning. So in this next one, number 4, how can I get to the park from here? This one's a little bit tricky because we have two verbs. We've got the can verb and we've got the get verb. Now, in this situation, I need you to use both verbs. We're going to put both verbs in the same order. So my answer would be, do you know? I need my question word, how. I need my subject, I. Now let's use both verbs in the same order. So it's can get, can get. So do you know how I can get to the park from here? All right, so do you know how I can get to the park from here? Did anybody get that correct? I hope you did. If you did, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. Do you know how I can get to the park from here? All right, YFS, good job. You answered it perfectly. Don't forget your question mark at the end, though. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Number 5. Where does this train stop? Now, let's change this. Instead of do you know, let's use can you tell me? All right, so let's imagine we're on, the train platform and we see a train worker. All right, the train worker will definitely know the answer. The train worker will definitely know the answer. So we can use, can you tell me? But the way we make the question is the same as do you know? So we're just going to change the beginning. Can you tell me? And then again, we're going to have our WH, we're going to have our subject, and we're going to have our verb. So we don't change when we use can you tell me? All right, so YFS, can you tell me where this train stops? Perfect, perfect job. Can you tell me where this train stops? Very good by adding the S, because this is where does. We need to add that S. Great job. Can you tell me where this train stops? When I first came to Japan, I had to ask this question so many times. I was so confused when I first came to Japan. I didn't know where the trains were going. In fact, when I first came to Japan, most of the train station signs were written in kanji. There was no English. So I had no idea where I was going. So a little fun little story there. Midori, can you tell me where this train stops? Perfect, Midori. Good job. Excellent question. Okay, let's go to number 6. Where is the nearest ATM? Where is the nearest ATM? Now, most likely in this question, you're going to be asking a stranger. So if you ask a stranger, what phrase do we use at the beginning? Do we use do you know, or do you use can you tell me? All right, Hiroshi, good job as well with that. Could you tell me where this train stops? Perfect, perfect punctuation, Hiroshi. Capital C with the question marks. Excellent. So where is the nearest ATM? While you are writing your answers, this is also quite funny. When I first came to Japan many years ago, the first time I came to Japan, ATMs, excuse me, ATMs were not open 24 hours. And ATMs were closed on national holidays. So I remember I didn't go to the bank. I didn't get money on Obon or Golden Week or something like that. So I was stuck with no cash. Luckily, times have changed. All right, where is the nearest ATM? If I'm asking a stranger, I will say, do you know? Do you know where the nearest ATM is? Do you know where the nearest ATM is? Midori, perfect. Do you know where? Oh, actually, Midori, make sure the is and the subject we need to switch. Do you know where the nearest ATM is? Is comes last. Oh, there you go. You already corrected it. Very fast, Midori. Good job. Perfect, 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 perfect. YFS has a question. What's ATM stands for? Okay. What does ATM stand for? What does ATM stand for? ATM it stands for automated teller machine. Automated teller machine. Now, does anybody know what a teller is? A teller. Automated, I think everybody knows. It just means it's automatic. Machine is machine. What's a teller? I think everybody has talked with a teller before. Before ATMs existed, if we wanted to get money, if we wanted to withdraw money, or if we wanted to deposit money, we had to go into the bank. And when we went into the bank, we'd go to the front counter, and there would be a man or a woman who would help us. That person's job title is teller, a bank teller. So the bank teller is the person who is working at the bank. Whenever you go in the bank and you need to withdraw money, you need to get money, you need to do any type of banking, the first person at the front counter who is going to help you, their job title is a bank teller. All right. Does that make sense, YFS? Do you understand? You know, back long time ago, I used to be a bank teller. Not a very fun job, I'll tell you. Okay, let's keep moving. Number 7, tricky one because look, I'll give you that hint. We're using a past question. Past questions, be careful. What is the indirect question here? And let's start with, can you tell me? All right, so let's start with, can you tell me in this situation? You're very welcome, YFS. You're very welcome. Yeah, ATM. We have a lot of acronyms in English, and a lot of them are confusing. ATM, yeah, automated teller machine. So for this next one, what did she say? Excuse me, I'm still suffering from influenza. I still got a cough. I got influenza last week, so. All right, the answer. What did she say? Can you tell me? And then remember, we need to put our WH. If you look on the screen at the bottom, we've got the banner. We need the WH word. So it is what. We need the subject. Subject is she. Next, we need the verb. But because this is a past question, my verb must go into the past. So, Hiroshi, can you tell me what she said? Perfect. YFS, can you tell me what she said? Perfect. Midori, can you tell me what she said? Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Excellent. Great job, guys. Can you tell me what she said? All right, so this means maybe you're in class, maybe you're at a meeting, you don't hear what someone says, so you turn to your neighbor and you're like, oh, can you tell me what she said? Okay, so far so good. I think you guys are getting how to make these questions. So let's make the next part a little bit more difficult. Let's move to kind of the situational practice. So far, I've given you the direct question and you've changed it into indirect. What we will do next is I'm going to give you a situation. And in that situation, you're going to read it and you're going to think, what indirect question can I make for this situation? Let's do the first one together. All right, so the first one here is, it says, you are not wearing a watch. You're not wearing a watch. Now, you want to know the time. I know everybody has a smartphone now, but let's just imagine you don't have a smartphone. You're not wearing a watch. You want to know the time. Now, I have my smartphone. I have my smartphone, or I have a watch. So you're going to ask me a indirect question, but it can't be direct. You can't say, hey, what time is it? It's too direct. It's too rude. So we must make it indirect. Now, first thing we have to do is, do I use do you know, or do I use can you tell me? Then make the question. All right. If you know the answer here, leave it in the comment section. And also, don't forget to speak this at home. Don't forget to speak it at home. Make the question, say it out loud. Okay, let's see. So remember, first choose, do I use this one? Do you know? Or do I use this one? Can you tell me? And remember, don't forget to switch the subject and the verb. All right, can you tell me what time it is? All right, YFS, perfect. Perfect answer. Can you tell me what time it is? All right, I'll put that onto the screen here as well. Can you tell me what time it is? That is a perfect question. All right, so what time is it is the direct question. Indirect, we change it. Can you tell me what time it is? Well done. Well done. Good job, YFS. And Midori also comes in. Can you tell me what time it is? Perfect. Midori, excellent job. Very well done. Okay. Now, let's look at the situation number 2. I think this is quite common, especially when we're traveling. When we go traveling, we don't know what time things close. So I want you to imagine you're traveling. You've gone to America, or you've come to Canada, where I'm from, or you've gone to Europe, but you don't know the closing time for the store. You really want to go shopping there. So you see a worker from the store. You see a worker from the store. What will you ask? Again, will you use "can you tell me" or will you use "do you know"? In the first one, by the way, both Midori and YFS, you chose correctly. It's "can you tell me." I know the answer because I have a watch on or I'm holding my phone. So I have the answer. So can you tell me? In the next situation, you're talking to a worker, store worker. Will you use "do you know" or will you use "can you tell me"? For me, in this situation, I would use "can you tell me"? Can you tell me? Because the worker should know the answer. The worker should know the answer. So I will use "can you tell me"? Now, what is the rest of the question? What is the rest of the question? All right, YFS with the answer. Can you tell me what time the store closes? Perfect. Can you tell me what time the store closes? Excellent job, YFS. Perfect answer. Can you tell me what time the store closes? All right, very good. Let's keep moving. Let's keep practicing these situations. Situation number 3. You want to buy some stamps from the post office. Maybe you're traveling, you bought a postcard, you want to send the postcard to your family, but you need a stamp. So you're in the hotel, you ask the concierge or you ask the front desk. What question will you ask them? And do we use "do you know" or "can you tell me"? Good job, Midori. Almost perfect. We want to do present tense, not closed, but closes. But I have a feeling it's probably just a mistake on typing there. So for the post office question, I'm talking to the hotel worker. Hotels, concierge, front desk workers, they'll know the answer. So in that situation, I will be using "can you tell me"? Now, what's the rest of the question? For me, I want to buy stamps, so I need to go to a post office. I don't know where the post office is, so I probably want to know the location of the post office. So in that situation, I will be asking, can you tell me where the nearest post office is? Can you tell me where the nearest post office is? Okay. And there could be a different question. Maybe you don't want to know where the post office is. You just want to know where you can buy stamps. In that situation, my question would change. Can you tell me where I can get stamps? Now, if you notice here, I didn't say buy stamps. I said get stamps. Get equals buy. Get equals buy. Okay. Number 4. You can't find your car keys. You're at home. You've got your keys, but you can't find your keys. So that means you can't go outside. You can't lock your front door. But maybe your friend, well, not your friend, maybe your husband, wife, or your brother, sister, mom, dad are in the house. What question will you ask them? And will you use, can you tell me? Or will you use, do you know? All right, YFS, very good. Can you tell me where I can buy stamps? Well done. Let's make this a little bit bigger for you guys. You can't find your keys. Let's imagine you're talking to your mom. Yeah, you've lost your keys. What will you ask your mom? Now, for me, I have to choose first. Can you tell me or do you know? For me, I'm going to choose do you know? Why do I choose do you know? Because there is a strong chance that my mom doesn't know where my keys are. I put them somewhere. She might not know. She might not know where they are. So I can't say, can you tell me? Can you tell me means she knows the answer. But there is a chance that she doesn't know. So I will say, do you know? All right, and we've got YFS, do you know where my keys are? Perfect. Midori, do you know where my key is? Perfect. Both questions are perfect. YFS, your subject was keys, so you used the verb are, which is correct. You matched the subject and the verb. Midori, your subject was key, singular, so you use is. Perfect. Both of you had perfect answers. So if I put it onto the screen here is, do you know where my keys are or my key is? Okay, let's keep moving. Number 5, you can't remember his name. Okay, so let me give you the situation. I want you to imagine you're at a party and you see a guy. You met him maybe a few weeks ago, but you completely forget his name. Your friend, maybe he or she knows his name. What will you ask your friend? Again, do you know or can you tell me? Personally, for me, I will use do you know in this situation as well, because possibly my friend doesn't know his name either. So my answer for this is, do you know what and his name is? Do you know what his name is? Do you know what his name is? Oh, I'm very sorry, YFS. I'll give you guys some more time. I always get a little bit excited. I'm sorry. Okay, well, let's go number 6, and I'll give you more time to answer. Number 6, you want to go to Ginza. If you're not in Japan, if you're watching from somewhere else, Ginza is a area name in Tokyo. It's an area in Tokyo. So you want to go here. You want to go to this area, but you don't know how to go there. So you see a police officer. What will you ask the police officer? Midori, very good job. Can you tell me? Can you tell me, or do you know? I think if you remove the can, do you know what his name is? Perfect job, Midori. Just be careful to put do you know. All right, so situation number 6, you want to go to Ginza. This is an area in Tokyo. You don't know how to go there. So you see a police officer. And what question will you ask the police officer? Now you have to decide, does the police officer know the answer or does he not know the answer? If you do know where Ginza is, or if you do know about Ginza, or if you've been there, let me know in the comments section. When I first moved to Japan, I used to go to Ginza a lot. I don't know why. It's a very trendy area, as some of you probably know. I just liked going there. It was just really beautiful. It's very high-end stores. Not that I could buy anything. All right, so Midori, can you tell me how I can get to Ginza? Perfect. That is a perfect answer. Can you tell me how I can get to Ginza? And YFS also, can you tell me how I can get to Ginza? Now, for Midori and YFS, if you wanted to make this even more polite, we're practicing can you tell me? We can always just add could you? Could you tell me? That would also make it, even more polite. But perfect answers. Could you tell me how to get to Ginza? Excellent answer. Okay, situation number 7. You want to eat delicious sushi. You want to eat delicious sushi. What will you ask your friend? What will you ask your friend? You want to eat delicious sushi. Excuse me. So if you want to eat delicious sushi, but you don't know where, what will you ask your friend? And do you like sushi? I would have to say sushi is probably my favorite Japanese food. I love it. I could eat it. I can't eat it every day, but I could eat it a lot. If you do like sushi, while you're thinking of this answer, after you give me your answer, after you speak, let me know what your favorite sushi is. Mine is salmon roe. Salmon roe. Salmon roe is the salmon eggs. All right, so you want to eat delicious sushi. Maybe you're in Japan. Maybe you're traveling. You've gone somewhere in Europe and you're tired of the local food. You want sushi. So YFS says, could you tell me where a good sushi restaurant is? Very good. Hiroshi says, do you know where an excellent sushi restaurant is? Excellent. Both of you, very good. Hiroshi, you said, do you know? Because maybe your friend doesn't know. YFS, you said, could you tell me? Because you believe your friend knows the answer. Very good. Midori, do you know where I can eat delicious sushi? Well done, Midori. In fact, I think this is what I would ask, and I'm going to highlight it here, put it on the screen. Do you know where I can eat delicious sushi? So I think most native speakers, this is the question we would ask. Do you know where I can eat delicious sushi? I could also say, do you know where I can find? Let me put it in the box here. I might even say that. Do you know where I can find delicious sushi? Hiroshi YFS, your questions were also very good. Do you know where an excellent sushi restaurant is? Or can you tell me where a good sushi restaurant is? So we want to know the location. I think that's very fine. But I think for native speakers, most native speakers are going to ask, do you know where I can eat delicious sushi? Or do you know where I can find delicious sushi? Find in this situation equals eat. Find equals eat. Okay, good job. All right. Any questions so far? Does anybody have any questions so far? I think everybody's doing quite well. Any questions so far? Does everybody understand? Is it confusing? Is it becoming easier? So far, most of you, Hiroshi, YFS, Midori, you're answering really well. So I think you're getting the hang of it. If you guys have any questions, let me know now in the comments section. All right, no questions, it seems. That's good. That means everybody's getting it. That's great. Also, I want to know, how is my video? How is my stream? Is it clear? Yes, YFS. Yeah, using could you is polite. It becomes more polite than can. And so do I usually use could instead of can you? Yeah, it's not usually. I think one thing, and I want everybody to listen carefully to this. So I think if you've studied English and if you take lessons somewhere, sometimes your English teacher will say that, could is polite and can is casual, which is true. Could is polite, may is polite, would is polite, can is more casual. A lot of people, when they hear that, they feel, oh, can is casual, so that means can is not good. I must use could. I must use would or may I. But that's not the case. Can is casual, but it's completely okay to use. It's not rude. It's not bad English. Don't feel nervous about using can. I honestly, YFS, I probably use can more than could. And it's okay. And I use it at work. I use it, when I'm traveling. I use it in business situations. I use it with friends. Can is completely fine. So don't be nervous about using that in conversation. Could is more polite, but that doesn't mean can is bad. Can is also okay. Right? So please use can as well. All right, Midori, good to see. Clear. All right, so we've learned how to make indirect questions. WH indirect questions. Now, that's not only WH. We can use yes, no questions as well, but our pattern changes a little bit. Okay, so YFS, you have a question. What was the hang something you just said? I'm hearing that in a TV show. Hang something. Hang on? Did I say hang on? I'm not sure what I said. Did I say hang on? If I said hang on means please wait. Please wait. But I don't remember what I said. Does anybody remember what I said? Yeah, if I said hang on, then that would mean, please wait. Oh, there we go. Hang something of. Oh, okay, I get it. Thank you very much, YFS. Are you getting the hang of it? Okay, very good. Are you getting the hang of it? Yeah, that I did ask that question, YFS. I said, are you getting the hang of it? So in this situation, are you getting the hang of it means, are you becoming comfortable with it? Are you getting used to it? So today we're practicing indirect questions. So are you getting the hang of it means, do you know how to use it? Are you comfortable using and making indirect questions? So this is very, very common, the hang of it. So whenever you try something new, maybe at the beginning, it's a little bit difficult. But after you keep doing it, it becomes easier and easier. So in that situation, you could say, I'm getting the hang of it. That means I'm getting used to doing it. I'm getting more comfortable doing it. I'm getting better at doing it. Does that answer your question, YFS? All right, very good. Don't forget, I'm getting the hang of it. I'm getting the hang of it. And you're very welcome for the lesson. This was my first time doing a live lesson. And I honestly, I've done a lot of lessons in my life, face-to-face, Zoom, and Skype and Teams. I've been doing it for a long time. This is my first time to do a lesson live on YouTube. And I'm not going to lie, I was actually really nervous at the beginning. I'm happy some of you have come to join me. It makes me feel really happy. You've made my Saturday. There is a second part to this lesson, and I'll save that for next lesson. I plan to be doing a lot more of these live lessons. Today, we're just doing indirect WH questions. But I also want, in the next lesson, I want to be doing indirect yes/no questions. Right. So just to give you a little sneak peek, in our next lesson, what we will be doing is this right here. It's very similar, but our pattern is going to change. This is all about yes/no questions. No WH anymore, but yes/no. And this is something we'll do in the next lesson. So if you like the WH one, please join me for the yes, no as well. Hiroshi, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hopefully I can get rid of this cough, and I'm glad you learned a lot today. And please come join me next time as well. And if you do want a copy of the exercises that we did today, make sure you leave me a comment with your email, how I can get it to you, and I'll send you a PDF of that so you can practice at home. All right. Any last questions from anyone? Any last questions or comments? Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, it looks like, we started off the day well. We've learned something. We studied for an hour. Hopefully, you guys understand how to make indirect questions. YFS, get well soon. Thank you very much. Keep practicing. Keep speaking a lot. Indirect questions are so useful. If you can use an indirect question, you will sound much more like a native speaker. So continue to practice these types of questions. Use them a lot, especially in business and when you're traveling, when you're talking to strangers. We don't want to ask direct questions. All right. So again, if you need the copy of the PDF, just leave a comment. I will also be putting the recording of this lesson onto YouTube, so you can watch that again if you need to review. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining me today. I'm so happy that you joined me. I'm glad you guys learned something, and I look forward to our next lesson. All right, guys. See ya.